All right. So, as promised earlier today, I am going to show you guys how to draw eyes. And the easiest way to show you guys how to draw eyes is by just drawing them a lot and explaining to you guys what I do along the way. So, first, let me make sure that I'm not wobbling everything all over the place. There you go. Calendar over there. There you go. All right, so, hi everybody. My name is Rodgon. I am a cartoonist, a professional designer, artist, and illustrator that is known worldwide for teaching techniques that he does. So I am a part of the 21 Draw crew. I am one of the teachers that you guys see on your Instagram feeds all the time because my face is always just there because they always plaster my face there. And it's like a mustachioed guy telling you how to draw really cute animals and like how to draw things and stuff. Yay, that's me. Okay. So that is me. I know how to draw things and make them look really cool. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. There you go. Is it wobbling? How is wobbling? I hate these wobbly little tripods. You guys are going to have to bear in mind here. Just a second. Better. Okay, not better. That's better. Perfect. You guys get to see my hairy legs for a second. All right, so we're going to draw eyes. Why eyes? Why are eyes hard? Why do people not know how to draw eyes? What is difficult about these? Well, the reason that it's difficult for a lot of us to draw eyes at first is because we tend to not learn how to draw an eye. And that sounds weird, right? Like, oh, of course I know how to draw an eye, Rod. Do you though? A lot of us really don't really know. Like, we learn with techniques like this. We learn how to do like a trapezoid, or we learn how to draw an element shape, or we draw like two L's that intersect each other, or we learn, through things like this, like, I don't know, it could be like a circle, inside a circle, stuff like that. When you learn through stylization, which is this, because you're not really drawing the shape, you end up with cool results. Right? You can end up with some really awesome eyes. But when it comes down to understanding how to draw the other one, for example, that's when it becomes an issue. When you start drawing your faces and you don't know how to draw the other eye because you haven't drawn that style yet, then that's when you start realizing, oh, well, maybe I don't really know how to draw eyes. Maybe I just know how to draw the shapes of eyes or a representation of an eye. But do I really understand what constitutes an eye shape? And how do I get better at that? Well, lucky for you, Mr. Rodgon here is going to give you an entire eye lesson as I draw 100 sets of eyes in front of you guys to have some fun with. Okay? So, the first thing we have to realize, this wobbling is going to fucking drive me nuts. Hold on a second. There you go. Stupid wobbly tripod. All right, there you go. Much better. All right, so the first thing we have to realize when we're drawing eyes, and let's zoom out in a little bit more, is that eyes are round. Eyes are not just lines. Eyes are a shape. And the shape that our eyeballs are closest to is a sphere. Right? Our actual eyeball, which is what we're going to be considering, is a nice little round shape called a sphere. Inside of that sphere, we have a couple elements. We have one of the elements being the part where there's color. Then you have the inside part, that is the black part that captures light. So this part inside of here, when you're drawing it, technically it looks like a little cone. Okay? But we're not going to have to go into that much detail today. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's essentially what you're drawing inside. You're drawing something that kind of dips in a little bit into a little hole. So whenever you're drawing your eyes, you're technically drawing something akin of a Death Star. Okay? Think about it like that. The colory part is the little divot that goes down into your laser. And that is essentially how you have to see that little coney part at the top. Like I said, it's not something that we're going to have to delve into too much right now. But when you're drawing against something in like 3/4 or from a profile, that's when it starts coming into play. Okay? Because what you're seeing is essentially that. So that's why I'm saying it's only relevant when it comes down to like 3/4 or profile views. So just keep that in mind as we go about, and I'll explain that as well when I see it happening, okay? So the first thing that you need to realize is that your eyes are a sphere. Once you realize that, well, both of your eyes are going to be based on the same sphere. So we can draw 2 spheres and generally have the assumption that if you draw the same designs on them, they're going to look very similar. Now, each one of these has its own perspective. Okay? Each one has its own guidelines. Each one has its own little like grid marks that you can use to stylize in any way you want. Now, the beauty of eyes is that they are a sphere. So as long as you understand that if you take one guideline and you intersect it with another guideline, you get a perfect round shape with the shape of an eye. So if you map out 2 points in a sphere or a circle and connect them with circles, you end up with an upper guideline and a lower guideline. But this also does a couple of other things. Like just doing a circle inside a circle does so many things. Like doing this can give you a guideline so that you know which way your character is looking, right? Doing this exact same motion, a circle inside of a circle, gives you a back view of the character instead of a front view. Cutting a circle in half with a circle gives you a surface that you could use to draw things on, sculpt in, break out, anything like that, from both sides. Let's say you're doing an avocado. Got both sides of the avocado. Okay, so doing that simple technique or circle or like skill of just learning how to draw a circle and then learning how to draw little circles inside of your circle is step 1. Learning how to connect them with guidelines going around is going to be step 2. And then stylization, whichever way you decide to stylize them, is the final step. So understanding these guidelines first is going to be the key to understanding eyes a lot better. So now let's actually play and put this technique into an actual character, because doing it on an actual, like just a floating eye, it means nothing. Like anybody can draw a really cool eye that just floats around with all the detail, eyelashes, eyelids, shadows, highlights, everything, right? You can do awesome, intensively detailed eyes, but it really means nothing if you don't even know how to place that in an actual drawing. Like, it's honestly, like, let's just be honest, it's kind of pointless to just know how to draw a really cool design and not know how to actually apply it to your design. So let's actually draw these concepts inside of an actual head, and you guys will see how that applies to actual thing. Bro, I love watching people draw something about therapeutic. Yeah, that's actually really good. Are those Patrick's eyes up there? It could be, or it could be any cartoon character. But let's go into their actual eyes, okay? Let's go into our first set of eyes. We'll draw a little character head, and we'll draw a little mask. If you guys aren't familiar with the mask method, it is a way to map out your face really, really quickly so you understand where certain elements go. In this case, we are mapping out our eye socket and our cheekbone by doing this little mask. If you guys want more in-depth detail, like explanation about this, there is entire videos on this I've done where I show like a lot of breakdown about how to actually envision that part of the body. So if you guys want to go and learn that, go for it. But I'm just giving you guys an idea of how I apply this, and we will be using the mask method as a base system for this. But I'll explain it as we go. So don't worry. You don't have to go watch the other video. You don't have to hunt down videos before this. I'll explain it as we go. So we're applying this same concept of an eyeball to this character. But what if you don't want it to be like super wide-eyed? Well, that's where these little hemispheres come in. Okay, so once you have these little hemispheres, this can become an eyelid by just darkening the line up and drawing your eye shape. So, and that gives you your upper eyelid too. So depending on how wide you want your eye open, you can just follow these guidelines and draw an eye that's a little bit more open, a little bit more closed, all the way down to like being completely shut if you want. And all the way up to being completely open at the top. So these guidelines are very important in order to understand how your eyelid works, because your eyelid is just a line moving on the surface of this circle, right? And circles are spheres. So as you go up with a flat line, you end up with curvature. And that curvature gives you like these little hemisphere lines. And you can use that knowledge of anatomy and perspective to just draw through your shape and give yourself the roundest, coolest looking eyes ever. We're not drawing hands today. Please, anybody that asks in the chat, please, if you guys are going to stay around, just help me moderate the chat. Just let them know what we're doing, and then we will be proceeding easier. So if I wanted to give this guy some eyelids, all I got to do is give him hemispheres, and I have my eyelids, which is a really, really cool way of seeing it because it just simplifies everything a lot. Skylight, please do not post anything like that here. This is not a recruiting grounds for anyone. If you end up being like a predatory person that just like tries to like hunt down people and like get them out for like cash, I seriously like would think twice about doing that in my channel. So I'll have people research you, man. Yeah, we're going to talk about all those stuff right now. So, how many eyes have we drawn so far? We haven't drawn 1, 2, 3, 4 sets, 5 sets. So we need 95 left. So we're going to be applying this concept to a bunch of different styles of eyes. We're going to do 2 basic things to these designs. We're going to give them a basic head shape, which will consist of any shape. We will draw a mask inside. The mask will consist of a shape like this. This is going to be our nose canal. These are going to be our cheekbones and our eye sockets. And then the rest of the head will be our temples, our mouth, and then our jaw, cheekbones going to the rest. So we're going to be focusing on this middle section more than anything. So we're going to be simplifying the head space into this little mask. That can be any shape we want depending on whatever type of eyebrows we have, because that becomes the eyebrow line. So that's what's happening. That's what we're going to focus on. And that is the technique that we're going to be using to round out most of these. Because we can take these and turn these into any character we want. Once we have that amount of information, we can take these and apply any sort of styling we want to them and get whatever designs we want. So we're going to focus on the mask at first so that we can focus on the concept of the eyes and learn that part of it. And then you guys can apply whatever type of technique you guys want to create the rest of your face based on that. I'm not teaching you guys a style at all. I'm not teaching you guys how to draw a certain style. I'm teaching you guys the basics of how you should visualize it so that you can apply your style in a proper way. So no one's taking away anything from your guys' style. I'm just going to try to explain it in a way that you guys can see it, that you guys can use it as a mannequin tool to be able to actually apply your own styling to it. So in this case for this one, right? Like we took one sphere, this one's another sphere as well. And then we followed some hemispheres to be able to get those things. This one goes around from point A to point B, point B to point A. This one, boom, the one point, the other point's behind. So it's going to go around my shape, back to that one. And then my eyeball blocks in a little bit of it. The nose canal, the nose bridge, would block a little bit of that eye as well. That's why you would not see that shape like that. And then you add your eyelashes that go around your shape as well, thickening that upper line to get that eye that we just drew. And just a different styling, you can like add different eyelashes, eyelids, whatever. But now you have two properly shaped eyes that you can go ahead and add styling to, whichever way you want. So let's do another one. Let's do a even more three-quarter view. So our mask, if it's more 3/4, it means that this side of the mask is going to be bigger than this side. Okay. Essentially, that's how you can draw your initial shape. Draw your eyes inside. Two equal size eyeballs. This is going to give you an indication where the nose bridge is, because this is the nose canal. So this top of it is your nose bridge that goes to the top where your eyebrow is. So you already know that guideline immediately. Now you can change that direction. You can make it steeper. You can make it broken. You can make it anything you want. Let's do a broken nose one. Right, into your, starting with that same shape, you can have like an Owen Wilson type of like a, right? So this line is your nose bridge. It can change shapes if you understand how to bend those shapes, but that is just the easiest way to acknowledge it. This is going to be the other side of the nose bridge that takes you up to your eyebrow. This is your nose bridge. This is the width of your nose. From the tip of your actual tippy nose, most noses can be summarized with a diamond, or they can be like a teardrop. Okay? One of the two. From that point, you can either make a teardrop and create an upper and a bottom, or you can go the opposite way and create a diamond that gives you a top and the bottom. By doing that, you give yourself all the guidelines you need to be able to draw a nice nose. regardless of how type of shape we do. But this is not a nose video, so we're not going to be focusing too much on noses. I just wanted to give you guys that little tip. Okay? Regardless if it's tiny or if it's big. A diamond or a little teardrop provide you all the details you need. So, okay, now we're going to go into, okay, so we have our nose bridge, our eyeballs, and then we decide whatever type of styling you want. If you want an eye completely open, all you got to do is draw your eye shape inside. If you want hemispheres, if you want like eyelids, just take this side, think of the inside point, and then connect them with a curve because it's a sphere. And now you have perfect eyelids every time. So I'm going to show you guys an even easier way to approach eyes. Once you understand that it's a sphere, right? Once you understand that this is essentially 2 points on a sphere. If you understand that concept alone, then you can draw eyes with literally 2 dots. All you need to do is draw 1 dot, 2 dots, and the curve. Whatever that curve is, match it on the bottom. Darken the top line. Connect them. You have an eye. So, second eye. Do exactly the same thing. You're going to match that dot to another dot with that same curvature. You're going to darken the top line. You're going to overlap the top line a little so you have a little bit of eyelid. You're going to draw that same eye. And then you're going to have your nose bridge. That's going to cover a little bit of that. Going into your nose. And then you can draw your eyelids just imagining the rest of the sphere. So that is just how you go about it. You Illuminati artist? Nah, man. Like, once you start visualizing things like that, you can literally start seeing things super easy. By connecting 2 dots like a rubber band, you can create eyes on the fly. Rubber band, rubber band. And it won't be hard for you anymore. And guess what? The moment that things stop being hard, that's when you get to be creative. So when you don't have to worry about the shape of the eye, right? You already have that. Now you can start playing with different things. Like, check this out. So there's going to be 2 different eyes. Okay? The only thing I'm going to do, like in this case, the eyes are going to be based on my cuts being roughly in the middle of the sphere. So if it's in the middle of the sphere, it creates a relatively big eye from edge to edge, right? So it makes like a little like Pixar eye or something like along the lines of a cartoon or something like that, like a Disney character. Now, if we make this contact point, if we move it closer to the front, but we still have that same opening, the eye becomes a lot more small, but it's more accurate to a more realistic proportions. And as you get smaller or closer to the front of the eyeball, so in this case it was like, what, a third? This is about half. If you get closer, you end up getting very different looks and very different styles. So that's just moving that little opening up onto your sphere. Okay, so if you learn how to do that, if you think, oh, well, this character looks really cartoony, Well, all you got to do is just bring the eyelid in a little bit, and it's going to look a little bit less cartoony because your eye is going to be significantly smaller. It's still the same eye, the exact same eye. You're only choosing, in this case, in a controlled and understandable fashion, you're choosing to stylize it with a different look by acknowledging and refining the lines that you understand. So once you understand how to draw a basic eye, now you can stylize this any way you want. Okay? At the point where you can literally just connect two dots, darken the top line, and just choose whatever styling you want for these things. And once you understand how the mask thing works, then you can start applying the rest of your character's traits based on that. Cheekbones, mask. Yeah, this is just like super easy techniques. Can you do mouth soon? Mouths are very similar to this. Incredibly similar to this. Like, mouths are the same concept, just applied differently. So for eyes, we have this concept of the slices, right? The hemispheres. Well, what if I told you that's not an eye, that's a mouth? It's the same shit. So once you learn this, mouths will become really easy too. Because it's the same exact concept. Exact same concept, only instead of like eyes, you add lips. And you have perfectly shaped mouths. So when you apply this to a character, you're going like this. You're applying two spheres, and there's an oval right here. So this is going to be one of your shapes that overlap. This is going to be another shape that overlaps. This is going to be a third shape that overlaps. So each one of these is the same concept, just applied with different stylings. Okay? Instead of adding an eyeball, you add lips. You add a negative space. You don't have to add lips. It's a mouth. Two lines, or a thick line, little line, connect the dots, lips. It's such a simple way to visualize things that it's just, once you understand one of them, the other one becomes so easy. Come on, stylize, Furby. And they have ears. We're gonna make this like his belly. It'll make him actually make sense. Can you do a jawline? No, we're talking about eyes today. We're doing 100 eyes. I don't know how many I've drawn so far though, so let's count. We weren't counting these because I drew these before. So we've drawn, that's technically one set because we drew two. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sets. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I have drawn 16 eyes. So we just need a lot more to go. 84. 83. 82. 81. All these concepts are the same, by the way, guys. It's just a sphere with hemispheres and darkening an upper line, regardless if they're completely open, completely closed. I'm thinking about this stuff constantly. So whatever type of styling I choose to give my shape is just not even the initial factor. It's like the last thing that I think about. Like, I like to draw my eye in the right place first and then proceed to a style. Like I said, style is literally just like one of the last things that I think about whenever I'm actually drawing. It's just kind of like coloring or inking to me. It's just something that comes after. Basic shape, make a basic shape, give it hemispheres, even if it's not sphere, just give it hemispheres and you got an eye. And then you have really cool different shapes and stuff. Like, not limiting yourself to what is being taught to you is a very important factor in your career path. I can teach you all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't go and apply it to your own way of thinking, it becomes pointless. So whatever I teach you, you have to revisit that and make it make sense to yourself, right? If it doesn't quite make sense, be like, oh, well, I don't really quite see it like that. I see them like as boxes. Cool. If you see eyes as boxes, you can literally just subdivide your box the same way and then figure out those mapping points. It's all about just understanding how to move the shapes. Can you make very big, cartoony, stylized? Yeah, of course. So big, cartoony eyes are going to require big eyes. So like we talked about before, we are going to shift. Where is it? Where did I show you guys that? I already lost track of that. I'm just going to teach it again. So the smaller you make the eyelid within your eye shape, you're going to change the way that the character looks. So let's say that your initial eyelid is really big. So you want your eyes to be really big, kind of like a Disney cartoon. You make the eyelid a little darker, you leave the bottom part a little bit less, and you just have your eye. But what if you didn't want this sort of like cartoony look? Maybe you wanted something that's a little bit less cartoony or more realistic. Both of these are based on the same exact principles with the same exact placement for your eyebrows, same exact placement for your eye. So understanding one allows me to draw two. If I can draw both of these, then I can draw everything in between. So I can choose whatever color or shape my eye is going to be, and then I get to choose whatever shape, width, wide, angle, anything like that based on just the hemispheres I draw. And then when you learn more anatomy and you learn like the different aspects of the eye, like let's draw the other one for this one. Once you get used to it, once you get happy with like how your like eyes are looking, then start applying more style to them. You know, like start applying like angles that wouldn't matter, or like maybe I want my eye to be boxy. Well, I can add a boxy look to my eye once I understand how an eye works. Because regardless of it looking like a box, it's still going to have to be based on a sphere because the eyeball is a spherical shape. Can you draw eyelashes? Yeah, I can draw eyelashes. Hold on. Hermit, you don't have to be smart to draw if you enjoy it. Yeah, you don't have to be smart at all. Like drawing is not subjugated or like relinquished only to the people that like know how to do it professionally. Like you can have like fun drawing anything you want. You don't have to do it because somebody else can do it better. Like I don't understand like that mentality, like limiting yourself just because other people tell you that you shouldn't, or I don't know if you would feel embarrassed or whatever, but I hope that that's not the case. Just do art, enjoy. And honestly, screw what other people think. Side view eyes. Yes, we can do some side view eyes. So whenever you're looking at an eye as a profile, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at a sphere, but again, you don't see the entirety of the eyeball whenever you're drawing. You roughly see about half of it. So we're going to mark about halfway through our eyeball, and that's where our 2 points are going to happen. From there, we are going to go from one side to the other, from one side to the other, and we're going to end up with the same thing. So it becomes easy to map them out in the front view. But it also makes it easy to point them out in the side view. So the reason why a lot of people do like a profile eye and they only do like this is because they're replicating that without really knowing. They're mapping one side to the other, and then they have their eyelashes and stuff, which creates the shape of a V or a diamond or whatever. So whenever people are doing that, they're just replicating what is there. They're just replicating all the anatomy, but they're just doing it in a simpler way. So the little side profile ones are the same. You just connect 2 dots going around your shape, or you can draw 2 circles if you want, and then just take those 2 lines and then use those 2 lines to go around your shape. All right, so more questions. I can answer questions while I draw these. It's probably going to take up the whole page to be able to draw the 100 eyes. So, yeah, keep asking questions. How do you put the eyes in side profiles? Let's draw a side profile and put the eyes in there. So we are going to have a side profile. I like to use the rule of 3s, or the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So whenever I'm drawing characters and I'm trying to like emphasize on a certain part of the face, I like to divide my character into 3s, right? And that is going to be as simple as drawing a checkerboard pattern. So by doing that, you give yourself 3 sections going sideways, 3 sections going down. In this middle section, the 2, 3, or 2, 1, whichever one, this one right here, is going to be where your eyes, your cheekbones, and your nose are going to be. That is going to be your mask. These elements create the shape of a mask. So when you're drawing this, just remember that you're drawing all your features within this little space. You're only seeing about halfway down the eye, so your eye is going to be mapped out from about halfway up. And the only space you leave from your eye to the front is the space that you want for your nose bridge. So if you have your eyes in profile, the space that you leave here is only the space of how deep your eyes actually sit into your eye sockets. That is the only thing that differentiates that space, right? This is literally just your nose bridge and how much you want this sunken into your eye sockets. So if you draw something with a really far back eye, what you're saying is that your eye socket is there and maybe your nose is really big. Like that. And that might have a lot of shadows and stuff. But if you draw a character that has their eyes closer, they tend to have a more youthful look, a more energetic look, because they don't have their eyes sunken in. They're perky on the front of their eye socket. Their eye socket is right here. This person's eye socket's right there. So you don't see a lot of shadows. You don't see a lot of indication of age and stuff like that. So that is something that you have to keep in mind whenever you're drawing eyes in a profile. You can have somebody that's really... let me finish drawing these eyes, though. So when they're really close to the front, you would see a little bit of the second eye because they're so big. When they're deeper in, the other eye is like back here, so you wouldn't see a little bit of that eye because of that spacing. That's another thing that would change. And this relegates itself to like things like cartoons and stuff like that, guys. Like, so it doesn't have to be just humans. This like humanized way of seeing things can be applied to anything and like anamorph your characters if you want. You can apply this sort of thinking to animals. You can apply that sort of thinking to anything you really want. Okay? So while you're constructing and learning all these concepts, all this can go into any of your other design work. Understanding how to sink your eyes into a socket can help you maybe draw a dragon better, right? Because their eyes are sunken into their eye sockets. Learning how to do that can help you design really cool things like this. If you have a more, like, you don't want it to do human, just don't draw human features inside. And you can take this same concept of drawing a mask, drawing a different size nose, and then just don't give it a chin. For some reason, like, I just learned today that humans are the only animal with chins. And that like made me question a lot about how I draw things. But it made me realize why my drawings were not looking as good as I thought. So sunken in eyes means shadows around the eyes. And you can just apply that same concept we just learned to draw really cool, awesome like things like, I don't know, dragons, monsters, or anything in between, you know? Let's draw like something in the water. Horses have chins, do they? Let's see, hold on. They're gonna draw some horse eyes because we have to like adapt this. So horses have like their little lips like that, right? And they have their like nose, and they have their like, eyes and stuff like that are like back here. And they have their nostrils. Do they have a chin? Oh, they do. I think they have like a little thing like that. Weird. Okay, cool. So then maybe that's debunked. A vulture? Can you do the placement of the head on the neck? I can teach you that really quickly, but I have to draw eyes on it to make it count. So I'm going to draw a character. This character is going to have a very healthy neck. So we're going to draw a rib cage. We're going to draw our head. And the key factors here are going to be your collarbone. And it's going to be the bottom of your ears. Let me give them some eyes to make them part of the lesson. Okay, so now that we have the bottom of our ears, we have to learn to see our shape through our shape. So if we know where this ear lands here, we need to understand where the other ear is going to land. So we draw through our shape, find the backside, and then find our ear, because we need the bottom of the ear for this to work. Bottom of the ear, to our collarbone, middle. Boom, boom. So from here to here. Boom, other ear, boom. So after you find that connection point, that is the minimal width of your neck if you want it to look proportional. Now, if you decide to make it smaller, that is going to be up to you. If you want it smaller, you have to stylize. If you want it an actual proportional size, this is the base measurement for like the width of your neck. Okay, that is going to be roughly the width of your neck, and then you have your side muscles that connect to the edge of your collarbone. That is the most easy and comprehensive way that I can teach you. Now, if you wanted like a really strong neck, like a Wolverine or like a Hulk or Venom or something like that, you have to take into consideration one more step. So you have your face. Let's draw a little angry guy. He'll be like mini Hulk. Okay, so we have angry little Hulk guy here. So now, taking those same concepts into consideration, I'm going to use the same mapping points that I just did here, but I'm going to apply it to a character with a bigger neck. First, I got to find my rib cage. Normally, characters with bigger heads tend to have their heads in like bottom on their head. I know, weird. Hold on, let me explain to you. If you have your rib cage, right, and you draw a character with a little head but a really big body, it can look really interesting. But if you draw your character with your head inside of your rib cage overlapping, it tends to give you a better dynamic, right? It gives you the more like angry looking thing. This one looks too formal. This looks like it's about to attack. So I would use something more akin to the size of this. So I'm going to have his neck and his rib cage be around his head. Then my head, I need to identify the ears, right? So now that I know my ears, now I need to give my rib cage a collarbone so that I can actually draw my neck. The collarbone tends to sit at the top part of the rib cage, so it's not really hard to identify. It's really at the very tip of the rib cage, okay? So wherever you put that is, you could be overlapping it with the face, but in this case, I want to make it like right there. It's going to go to the edge of my rib cage. From there, bottom of the ear, collarbone, boom. Bottom of the ear, collarbone, boom. And then these can be the back of the neck. So you end up with a really healthy, wide neck. And if you do that to characters in general, you can have a nice wide necks going into a collarbone. Or you could have a really skinny neck, because this is just the maximum for this head. This would be about the minimum width if you made it like this. If you take it from your ears down to your collarbone, that's the minimum width that you need in order to get the character to look right. Enhancing this spacing from here is what gives a character a more massive, bulky look. So the more muscle you add to the sides, the more he looks like he's muscly. But the average neck only coincides from the distance between your neck and your ear. No, the pen is just a normal big pen. It's not anything special. So whenever you're drawing your heads, once you find your ears and you find yourself the middle of your rib cage, you already know the width of your neck, because all you got to do is connect these two. And then from here, just down is going to be the cylinder for your head. And then you can give yourself and that is how you find roughly, because everybody's a little different, but that's how you roughly find the width of your neck for your characters, according to me. How do you, okay, let me explain how you would move that to a full character. So you would have your rib cage, you would have your collarbone, you would have your head. Your ear connects to the middle part of your neck. You give the width of your neck and onto the sides. From here, I get to decide my chin. And very quickly, that becomes a guideline to be able to apply to my designs. So now that applies as well if I'm drawing something in different perspectives. Let's say that I wanted to draw somebody from the side. Right? Have my ear, I have my rib cage, I have my collarbone, bottom of the ear to the bottom of the neck, or the collarbone. That already gives me the connection point. You get to decide how fit the person is by how much skin flabs right here. You can make them like this, or you can make them flabby by just not even showing a little bit of the neck. So this is the fitness level of the actual character. And then to the back of this collarbone, that's where the neck connects in the head. So it works in every angle. How do you do back profiles? Draw a sphere, draw a circle inside the circle. This is now your back. Draw an ear, draw through your circle, find your other ear, and now you have your head from the back. So circle inside of a circle gives you a front and a back view of something. So this can choose to be the front, or this could be the choose to be the back. It really does depend on how you visualize things. So learning how to draw a circle inside of a circle is an excellent exercise because it teaches you the front and the back of things. It also teaches you a bunch of different things, like drawing things to the sides, choosing a direction. If you draw it for this way, you can use it to guide your drawings looking in different directions. Can you do? Not right now. We're drawing. We're not gonna do hands right now. We're just drawing eyes. Right now, it's just an eye tutorial. Oh, someone sent a heart, so now I gotta draw hearty eyes. I am in love. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, eyes will become like the easiest thing for you guys to do in the world. Like it's just not even, it's not even funny. Like it's really easy once you understand just basic. A black eye. So a black eye would just be a swollen eye. So you would have a bunch of like swollenness, and then you'd have an eye that's not quite swollen, but the person's probably got like knocked around a couple times. Bloodshot eyes. So if we have some eyes, let's draw Towley. Because Towley's the only person that I understand that has bloodshot eyes all the time. We're going to add a little bit of veins to the edge of the actual eye to resemble that darkening or that redness that we normally get from our veins being a little bit agitated from being around smoke. Oh my God. Cyclops eye. Well, a Cyclops eye is really easy. A Cyclops eye is just one eye. So if you want to make one eye have expressions, you have to switch the eyebrows to being one big element. So instead of seeing this as two eyebrows, see it as one, as the same two eyebrows, but a unibrow. Think about it like that. So if you want it to be a Cyclops, and you want it to have different facial expressions like crying and stuff like that, you have to think about it like that. I'm so high. I don't even know what's going on, guys. Hold on. I'm going to go grab some coffee real fast. We're not done yet, so just stay still, my friends. I will be back in a second. I'll leave you guys with our lesson so far. Just going to grab some coffee real fast. Let me zoom in for you guys so you guys have a little bit more. Feel free to keep on leaving messages. I will be back in a split second. Just need more coffee. 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 Woohoo, coffee. Alright, I have my coffee bean. Woohoo! Bean water, bean water. Why are you so good? Bean water, bean water. It's my livelihood. Okay, let's continue on. So, where were we? I have horrible same face syndrome. This helps so much. Woohoo! We're not drawing anime eyes. Anime eyes, though, are not that hard. Like, once you understand the concept of this being a sphere, like, all you gotta do is give this, like, all the little stylings that you want. Give it, like, star eyes for all it matters. All right? Once you understand the concept of eyes in general, things like style, like anime, comics, all that stuff becomes really easy, guys. Like, it's just, I don't know how to explain it, like, in a way that makes sense to you guys. But once you understand the basic premise of a sphere, this becomes just simple. And it's not me being like, oh, well, art is easy. No, art is hard. But once you understand this concept, it becomes a lot easier. Oh my God, stop. I think the eye of a skeleton is how big the eye socket is. Dude, I will ban you if you keep on asking for lives. Jesus Christ. Like, I said no once. What makes you think I need to go onto your lives again? Jesus. Calm down. Anime faces have a side similar. Yeah, I heard that. I saw that. I saw that meme or that video where it's like anime characters, right? They're not based on Caucasian people like a lot of people think. They're based on the features and proportions of a cat. So an anime character, when you're drawing them, if you draw a kitty, you will end up with very similar proportions. And it's really cute. So it's just a matter of understanding how the rest of the anatomy connects, right? But it's just, that's exactly how they are, and it works. It's really cool. Oh, you didn't know this was a video? I'm also trying to develop another way to like understand eyes based on just a rubber band. But I haven't finished developing that yet. So whenever I actually learn that, and like I develop the ability to draw eyes from a beanbag. Yes, eyes from a beanbag. Once I develop the mastery over this concept, I will be able to teach you guys how to draw tons of different expressions, tons of different angles just by drawing a rubber band or a beanbag. So once we master this shape, we'll be able to draw everything. A beanbag will be our noses, our beanbag will be our mouths, our beanbags will be our heads, our beanbags will be our ears, our beanbags will be our hair, our beanbags will be our bodies, our beanbags will be our hands. Everything can be a beanbag. And it's like, it's so fun. It's fun. It's like a puzzle. It's like a Sudoku puzzle that I have to go from like step 1 to step 10. And it's just like, ugh, so cool. Why are you wobbling so much, you stupid troll? No, okay, I am never doing this in my living room with the setup that I have again. Again, that's like, it's just not going to happen. Too wobbly. Anyways, let's see. Let's continue. Any tips on hands? Nope, no hands today. Any tips on eyes? If you guys ask for tips on eyes, I'll be more than happy to comply. If you guys ask for eye tips, if you guys ask for eye anatomy, more than happy to comply. Yeah, it's too wobbly, huh? Hold on. I don't like that. Okay, hold on. Will this work if I do this? If I do this, and I put this down, and I do this. Okay, hold on. Yes, I got this. I got this, guys. I got this. I'll put that there. And now the wobbles should be gone. Yes. Yeah. Whenever we have like a thing about the topic that we're talking about, like especially when we're this far in, like let me show you like how far we're into our lesson. So if we weren't this far into our lesson, I'd be more than happy. Like, and if it's something that I can tie into it, like of course, man, like I'll be more than happy to tie it in. But when people like look at what we're teaching and then you guys try to like ask something completely different, it just makes it really hard for me to actually be able to do that. So that's why I don't mean to be rude. I love the fact that you guys are enthusiastic about asking questions. Just realize that that's the case. The head with eye proportion wise. Ooh, okay, cool. That's a good one. So let's say we have a head. Okay. And we're going to keep this super simple. Like we're going to keep this as like a basic sphere for now. We'll go and transition into a more like realistic shape too as well. Fuck it. Just do it. We'll have that, and then we'll have another one. We'll have like a more like pin-up-y one. So you guys get 3 different views. So the difference, as you guys can see, is normally the size of the jaw shape, by the way. Like something with a smaller jaw is going to look more like petite, more kitty, more young. Something with a longer jaw is going to look more mature, and it can get to the point where you like look like ancient by literally just making everything really long on your body. Right? Everything just becomes long, and then everything just looks like you're sagging, like you're like melting. So as things progress down your body, age happens, just natural age progression. So not that that really makes any like point into the eye section of things, but just keep that in mind whenever we are thinking about proportions and how you draw your things. The bigger you make your jawline, the more age you're adding to your character regardless. It's very hard to draw a baby with a Jay Leno face. Well, but let's try it. Hold on. I need to draw a baby. So in this case, a baby would be something like that, right? Like you'd have like big cheeks and like you'd have like the little tiny squishy parts like. So that would be like a baby. So what happens when we have like little baby proportions? And we give it a Jay Leno like type of like chin. Oh, that's something new, man. Okay. So a baby with a Jay Leno's gigantic chin would be interesting. All right. Uh-huh. Cool. Anyways, let's move on to the actual proportions of the size of the eyes. So a lot of people like to tell you, or like the measurement system is that you have to have an eye and then one eye in between the eye and then like a third eye or something, or a half an eye here, and that's like proportionate, right? But that only really works. You can only really see that like that if you understand how wide to draw a single damn eye. If you don't know how to draw, like how wide to draw the eye, well, that doesn't matter. You can't measure this. Like it just, you might draw like the eye like super wide on one side and then just not have space for it because you just didn't know how wide to draw it. So that comes with a lot of questions, a lot of like confusing sections to like learning that process, right? So I don't like doing that. No. Mm-mm. The way that I like segmenting my eyes is very simple. I know a couple different points in my face that indicate very important parts of my face. So those parts for me are your eyebrows. Why your eyebrows? Why are your eyebrows so important? Well, if you really look at a person's face, the edge, almost at the edge of the eyebrow, that is where the side goes from being round to being flat happens. So that's when the actual skull changes from being round, from your round features, to being your temple and the side of your face. So it's a really, 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 really good part of the body to know where to draw accurately, because it gives you the side of your face, it gives you the entrance into your nose bridge, and then that nose bridge goes onto the rest of your face, and I'll show you guys in a second. But this, knowing how wide your eyebrow is going to be a very easy indicator. When you're looking at a character from the front, your eyebrow is going to not be at the edge of your face, a little bit from the edge of your face. And from the middle, it's going to be as wide as you want your nose bridge to be. So if you want your nose bridge to be really wide for a character that looks like a bouncer or like a big dude, make that space wider. If you want it not to be as wide, if you want it to be like a more like normal one, bring that nose bridge in, therefore your eyebrow comes in. So your eyebrow should not reach the edge and it should not touch the middle. Easy enough to figure that out, right? Like as long as you do that within this whole space, I can draw anything that doesn't touch the edge but doesn't touch the middle, and it'll look like an eyebrow. And that could be extreme. So, knowing that, I can already draw characters up to the eyebrow. So I draw my head shape, I draw whatever mapping system to know what the direction of my character's face, and then I draw my eyebrow. It cannot touch the front, and it cannot touch the side. At least from the 3/4 view, maybe it would touch the side over here because you're looking at it going around. Doesn't touch the middle. The distance that I leave between here is going to be the distance and the width of my nose bridge leading to the width of my nose. That space. From there, knowing how to place your eyes in there is really easy because your eyebrow tells you where your eye is supposed to go. So your eyebrow is the set of hair, like a line of hair, but there's a muscle that goes around it. That muscle is your brow muscle. Okay? That brow muscle is important because that it like ends up pushing down into your eye socket. But that muscle is contouring the actual eye socket. Okay? So your actual anatomy consists more of something like this. Your eyeball tends to sit a little bit closer towards the middle of your eye socket, towards the left side or right side, inside part of your eye socket. So that also provides the reason why whenever you are looking at a 3/4 view, you only see a little bit of that, but you see a lot more of the side. It's because the eyeball is closer to the middle in a 3-dimensional space. It's closer to the middle of the eye socket, or to the inside of the eye socket, than it is to the edges. This is too exaggerated. So whenever you're drawing your eyebrows, it's telling you exactly where your limitations are to draw your eye, if you're drawing it in the right place. If you're drawing your eyebrows going up to the side right here, that means that your eye has to be directly underneath. So you can think about it like this as well. The mask could, for you, if you don't see the cheekbones, you can think of the mask as the top and the bottom of your actual eyes. So you can see the mask as the eyebrow top, the bottom, and then just trace your shapes to be able to find the eyes on the bottom. Using the same techniques for different body parts is perfectly okay. If you have that mask and you only want to use it for your eye shapes, that's perfectly fine. Use it for that. And then if you want to implement the other mask shape for your cheekbones, then you already have the other side. And you can go and apply the other mask shape to be able to find the rest of your head. But using these little techniques only work if you understand the very core component. That is, if you have a sphere and you slice that up into hemispheres, that is essentially the concept behind your eye. It's a ninja. Ooh, I get to draw ninjas today too. Oh, and I get to work on a mushroom, chocolate mushroom like thing. Like, that's kind of cool. Collarbone to where the ear would go. Boom, boom, boom. Collarbone to where the ear would go. Boom, boom, boom. Then I choose the width of my neck based on that. Then to the sides of my neck, I have two side muscles. Boom, boom. So in the upper part of the head, when you're drawing your head, you're going to have the collarbone at the top of your rib cage. Then you're going to have three parts inside of here. You're going to have your neck, and you're going to have two side muscles. So 1, 2, 3. And then from your ear, you connect that to the middle part. And you have a perfect neck system, especially for simplification purposes, right? Like, obviously, there's much more going on to that part of the body. Like, there's much more tendons and stuff like that like, I'm simplifying to, like, a very basic extent. But taking all that stuff and simplifying it to a super simple concept of just a baseball diamond that connects to the ears, it becomes really easy. Reminds me of Twice. Who's Twice? Is that the guy that's like, and there's some more? I love that guy. That guy's awesome. Well, let's be going. Yeah, I'll go on YouTube today. Yeah, today is like Today, Mondays for me are fulfillment days. So I like to make sure that my Mondays are based on things and doing things that I love to do, and set myself up for the week to have a successful week, right? So that I can actually like know that I'm going into it with a whole heart. I'm going into it with inspiration. I'm going into it with a happy mood, and I'm going into it with as much like potential as I can possibly bring for any good energy and vibes that I can possibly require this week. So I do that by practicing the same things that I tell you guys, though. You know, whenever I tell you guys to go outside and like, you know, like be kind to someone, do something nice, like love a little bit. Like I tell you guys that because it's something like that I encourage people to do because it brings joy to my life. So I know that it might bring some joy to yours. I ask you guys to go outside and live a little, so I have to go outside for myself. You know, I have to like follow my own advice a lot of the times. And you know, it helps. I meet new people, like run into human beings that, you know, might inspire me one day. Like things that just are random, so they inspire videos and funny things. Like you guys need to experience life in order to be able to create the imagery of it. Like you can't not understand how something like functions in the world and expect to be able to draw it accurately or with any sense of semblance that's going to make look cool. So if your aim, for example, is to be like a really cool portrait artist, get out there and start drawing caricatures of people. Understand how to manipulate those shapes, how to like exaggerate them, how to like see things differently. And like, again, the eyebrow tells me where my eye is going to go, right? So my eyebrow tells me where my eye is and tells me where my eye socket is. So I know that my eye falls within that space. It's going to fall closer to the front or closer to the inside of my eye than it is to my edge. And just having these little elements just gives me a bunch of that. Socket, that's why you get sometimes like a deep line right here going here. It's because it's your eye socket, like that's your skull, that's your bone. And sometimes you get lines right here because you get that cartilage breaking point going into your nose canal. So that's why you get so many different lines, so many different like bends and curves and wrinkles, is because everything is compressing against the bone. So even like the wrinkles right here, right? The wrinkles that we get right here tend to happen a lot because you have your face and you have your nose canal that has a little bit of a ridge, a tiny minuscule little ridge. And all your muscles are compressing against that little ridge, creating like a little starfish of pressure points, right? So everything's compressing against that little tiny ridge, and that creates all these tension points that we use whenever we're drawing something that's angry or violent or, you know, stuff like that. But we use those lines. So understanding why and those lines get created, it helps you understand and be able to create cool detail beyond something that somebody could just do if they're just stylizing something without the knowledge. So knowledge is power. And that goes for humans, that goes for animals, that goes for absolutely anything that you want to draw. Is anyone's sketchbook falling apart? I don't even use it. Get good sketchbooks. I like to use both Illo sketchbooks. Illos are good. Illo. And Danique sketchbooks are my favorite. They open up all the way. They look really nice. They hold watercolor really nice. They don't do marker very well. Like you'll have to put a bleach sheet if you don't want like little marks, but the paper is just stunningly like pretty. Like it's just nice paper. So I highly recommend those two. Those two brands are awesome and like some of my favorite. So highly recommended. Now let's draw some eyes, some angry eyes, because we just learned how to draw those muscles. Oh, where's that? Boom, boom. It's like a star, right? Everything originates from this point because everything that's flexy and movable, aka your muscles, are all pressing against the hard surface of your bone. So most of the time when you get anything that bumps and like crinkles in your body is because a part of your bone structure, in this case, the nose canal, this has a little bit of a lip, So whenever your brow muscles compress against this little lip creates tension. Same thing happens for here. Same thing happens for here. Same thing happens in here. All those little tension points happen because that little bridge, that little tiny hard surface right there, is creating it. And when you bring your cheek muscles up, sometimes you create even more tension. Now you have two shapes creating that tension. And then the more you push your cheeks up, like when you're smiling and laughing and stuff like that, you get even more. So it just comes with the territory of having somebody with like a really open mouth or something like that. Like the Joker and all those sorts of characters. I struggle with filling my sketchbook. I don't. I really don't. Like, oh my God, here, hold on. You guys need like a quick sketchbook tour. We're almost done with this one, by the way. But let me show you guys the level at which I normally fill my sketchbooks. Lesson plans on Post-its. Then we start with our basic page. I was going to make this one into like a pure animal book, but then I got distracted and I started drawing things from Stream. So it was just going to be going to the zoo and drawing different animals and like practicing this sort of stuff, right? But then it started devolving into, again, lessons and lessons and lessons. And I absolutely love what we have done with this book so far, because I have improved at least 3 or 4 levels worth, like by just teaching you guys how to do things. So yeah, it's been a blast. Everything gets filled up to the brim just because I absolutely love doing that, and it just looks really cool. You know, like when it's not like it's messy with ideas, but it's not messy in the way that it's just like black scribbles. Like everything you look at has something to teach you. And it's really, really, really cool. And it's taken a while to be able to get to this point, but it's really awesome. Yeah, I love doing this sort of stuff. I'm so happy that I started doing that. And I've learned a lot since you started watching you. Woohoo! Yeah, I get so many nice messages sometimes. It's wonderful to see that I'm actually like making a slight difference in people's lives. That's on the cool. All right, let's do another face. So we have a face, we have our mask. Our mask gives us our eyebrow. Our eyebrow is going to give us our eye. So we have our eyebrow, go down, gives us our eye. That's really easy. And then we have our nose right here, and we have our little like nose canal. We get to decide what type of nose we want. And our mouth would be like right here somewhere. Our eye can be looking any way we want. And by darkening the upper line, I just make it look more like an eye by representing some eyelashes. And now we have an eye. Cool. Let's do another one. Face, direction, mask, eyebrow. Let's make the eyebrow matte this time. The eyebrow going down gives me my eye. Got my spacing between here. I want my nose canal to be about that wide, which means that my other eyebrow wraps around my shape to the other side. Around. Okay. So this one goes down, gives me my other eye. So that was not really hard to do. From there, my nose is going to determine how wide my nose canal is. My nose is going to come back down to that same space. And now I'm going to have my mouth, my chin, and my jaw. Again, another one. do a girl this time. Draw our mask. Then we're going to draw our eyebrows. I'm going to draw a really nice bendy up eyebrow. This one's going to go from here to wrap around. This gives me my nose bridge from the front of my eyebrow to the edge of my nose canal. I just want a little perky nose. So I'm just going to draw a little perky nose coming out of there. This is going to give me where my eyes are going to go by just drawing lines down. And let's see, what type of eye should we give her? Let's give her some angled eyes. Give her a little bit of a jaw. Remember, the smaller the jaw, the more like young they look. So I don't give my pinups very, very like long jaws. So they have like, I don't know, like a youthful appearance. Then I give myself my ear and finish it off with my eyes. Give myself some lips. Some hair. All right. So as you guys can see, it's a pretty effective way of seeing your things. The mask method is going to give you the shape for your eye. Remembering that it's a round shape inside of here is what keeps it from looking flat. So you're using a flat surface to identify how the eyeball sits within that space. What was the hardest thing for me to learn to draw? A sphere. Like learning how to draw a sphere right was one of the hardest things that I ever learned how to do. Like learning how to take this and do this properly. That was incredibly hard. Learning how to manipulate that so that it moves in every single direction was really tough too. Understanding how to use those guidelines to manipulate my style and my shapes was absolutely incredibly difficult because it's hard to be able to see the volume and stuff like that unless you practice doing these exercises a lot. Right? Being able to practice doing all these things is crucial because this, if you don't know how to draw this easy, like if this doesn't come easy for you, drawing something that has a little bit more detail is going to be impossible. It's just not going to happen because you're not going to know where to place things. So if you don't know how to place things on a simple point like this, then you're going to have a hard time, moving on to something more complex like the head, because the head is not just a sphere. The head is like a spherical shape with like a flat side sliced out of it that goes from a circular shape to another slice cut out of it to more like flat, like a box underneath, but the box has a round shape inside of it, and like there's so much going on that if you can't master just this basic concept of the sphere, everything else falls apart. So when people go into like directly into style, and I'm not blaming all graffiti artists because I'm not, a lot of us do that, but mostly graffiti artists, a lot of like when you start off, you end up copying people's cool styling, and I was one of them. So I know you end up copying cool styles and you don't end up really learning how to draw things properly. You just really learn how to draw really cool stylized things. And that's really cool up until a certain point when you want to actually progress a little bit more into your career. So it took me like 15 years to pay attention to my basic perspective lessons. But once I did, everything unlocked. I was like, oh my God. Like it was like a second awakening in my art career. I was like, I do not know how I could not see this before. Jesus Christ. Like, it just made everything make sense. Like, things like eye angles were irrelevant now. Like, and it's not that I'm like a massively gifted person at this, right? And I keep on repeating that to people because it might seem like I am, but that's because I put 20 years of work into this. It's not because I'm a naturally gifted person. I have to repeat the same things over and over and over multiple times in a row in order for things to stick. So if you are one of those people that need that sort of like, instruction and guidelines, just follow what I do, try to like replicate what I do, and then just draw in mass quantities like I do. Because that's the only way to actually learn for people like me and you. And then when it clicks, it's like, it's better than sex. It's just so like when something clicks, something new that clicks, right? Like to me, it feels like winning a mini lottery. It feels like you went and you mastered something new, unlocked a new skill. Like it almost feels like an RPG game. Okay, let me explain another thing right here. Okay, so issues like this, where you don't know where to put your eyelashes and shit like that, right? Like when you're going around a shape, like that is going to be something of the past after today. Let me explain to you guys what's happening there so you guys understand that. Taking all the stuff that we took into consideration. Right, we're taking a point, we're connecting 2 points, and we are drawing our eyelids. So when you see an eyelid going into the distance, where was the other one that we drew? Anyways, when you're dropping your eyelids going to the edge, remember that all that little like feathery stuff is normally something that's going outside of your eyelid. It's going normally to the front. Okay? Everything is curling to the front of your shape. Most of your eyelids do that. They don't go to the side. They do that. Normally, girls have the little cat eye that they draw in. That they normally draw that in, but your eyelashes tend to go from the front. Imagine this like a petal or like a little rose or something like that. That is what's happening at this point. Okay? It's more like a petal that's going forward, and that is what your eyelashes are. It's like the little petals, or like a petal for your eye. If you think about it like that, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to visualize just drawing those lines. So you draw your eye, you draw a petal going out, and then you just draw up until that petal. So you can see it like that shape so that you can get used to the fact that it curves around your shape and it comes out. Like a petal. Yeah, you see it now. Woohoo! Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's see. Let's count our eyes, see how many we have to draw left. Let's see. I'm just gonna count real quick. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, not counting those, 73, 73, 74, gotta draw some faces on these guys, 74, 75. 76. 77. 78 on Baby with Jay Leno chin. 77, 78, 79, 80. These aren't good enough. Okay. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. 86. So we need 14 more. 14 more eyes within that space. So let's go into like more detailed eyes. Let's go into what you see whenever you're looking inside of an eye, right? So now that we learned how to draw a basic eye of drawing the top and the bottom eyelid a little bit darker and the bottom one a little bit lighter on a sphere, how do we go into a deeper level? So now you end up going into like things like the tear duct that happen at the front of your eye. Then you get your bottom eyelid that has depth as well. Depending on how you see your eye, in this case, you're seeing the eye from the top. That is why you see that bottom eyelid. When you go and you look at something from the top, you're going to see a little bit of spacing on the top eyelid. So this little spacing that you see is just the thickness of your eyelid, the little skin that wraps around your eye. So you're going to see a little bit going from the top if you're looking at it from the top. And if you look at somebody from the bottom, you're going to see a little bit of the lip up here. So keep that in mind whenever you're drawing. 13. Let's draw. You can change the shape of the eyes, especially for cartoons. Like if you're just trying to draw funny cartoons, draw eyeglasses, right? Which give you all the spacing you need. Learn how to just draw a dot inside of them, darken the top line, and then draw your nose from that point. And it's always going to look kind of cool. So whatever shape you draw, let's say you draw a box and a glass for your glasses, draw a darker line on top, draw whatever eye shape you want, and draw your nose from there. And then you can draw like little nerdy characters with glasses and stuff like that. So that's a fun one for you guys to play around with. 12. Let's draw more Cyclops. Let's draw like a more like angry, like real like Cyclops. So you remember how I told you guys have like that brow muscle? Well, on a Cyclops, it would be considerably bigger. It would just be like a little worm, and again, another beanbag on top, and that would create your wrinkles. Your anatomy would change a little bit. So you would have your nose canal here, therefore making your face longer. So I'm guessing that's the reason why your basic Cyclops has such an ogreish face, because you don't have that spacing between to move the nose up, right? So you only have, when you have like both eyes on the side, your nose can be up here. But when you have a Cyclops face, your eye is right here. So the only place for your nose canal is here, or you just don't give them a nose. Maybe that's also the reason why you draw so many Cyclops without noses. Because it just makes it a pain in the butt to figure out the anatomy behind that. Okay, 11. Let's draw a little bit darker. Let's see, what else can we draw? We can draw some animal eyes. Animal eyes are going to be very similar to this, right? It's going to be round shapes, and depending on whatever it is, like a chameleon or something like that, will have a different set of detail inside. than, let's say, a human would. If you wanted to humanize this guy, though, it would be really simple. All you would have to do is draw the eyes with different style, more human in design. And then you have a character from a Disney movie, Pixar, whatever. Okay, so the only thing that changed was literally just changing the eyes to a same spherical shape, just more human-like than not. Let's give some leaves. 10. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, more animal eyes. Let's do a snake. Same concept, exact same concept. Sphere, right? Hemispheres, cutting the shape into the shape. Just give it a different type of detail. Instead of a circle, I give it a little slit. And I don't give it a little colored area because most of the eye is supposed to be colored. The same brow muscle that a human would have, these have them but a little bit bigger. That leads to the shape of my nose. Something like that could work for dragons, could work for dinosaurs, could work for anything like that too. Make the snake wear a top hat. You got it. And the monocle, of course. And he's going to be sipping tea with his tail. Do you color in your drawings? Yeah, color them all the time. Like I said, like coloring and stuff like that is not a problem. Like it's just something I just don't spend time doing because it's not the part of the drawing that I like doing the most. What I like doing is I like creating the concepts. I like creating, not everything has to be a finished masterpiece for me. Like for me to enjoy what I'm doing is literally just creating the concept and just getting it out. If I add color to them, that's nice and everything, but I don't need to really add color to my drawings to make them pop. And that's the beauty of it. Like I just need at least like one accent color and I can make it look like an art piece. If I add more, it just starts adding to it. And then when I clean it up digitally, oof. Oh man, if you guys have never seen my artwork, oh my God. If you guys have never seen my finished artwork, please do yourself a favor. Right now, go to rodgon.com. Go to rodgon.com. Oh my God. Go look at all the and that's from 5 years ago. Like I haven't even updated that with new stuff. That's still old, but you guys will get an idea of the level of rendering that I normally go with. And it's really fun. I use watercolors for these. And then once you start getting used to this, you're going to just combine all that stuff into your gestures. Just so you're going to end up counter everything that you draw is going to be like a check and balance for everything else that you draw. So my eyes tell me the width of my face. The width of my face tells me the width of everything else, blah, 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 blah. Like your brain just starts putting everything together. Once you learn how to map things in a certain way, it becomes really hard not to see that. And then whenever you add another level of understanding, like another technique, you can start putting those techniques according to your technique and see what comes out from that. And who knows, maybe it becomes an easier process for you. Maybe it becomes a harder one. And then just gauge back and forth depending on what you want to achieve with it. And then you just keep going and going and growing and changing and evolving and like learning new things and adapting your styles. And at the end of your career, you should be a master at like dozens, if not hundreds of styles. Like, it's not a matter of just refining one way of drawing. It's like if you're going for a masterful like career, like, and you want to be a master at what you do. And I say that strictly because a lot of people don't want that, right? Maybe you don't want that level of understanding. Maybe you don't need it. I need it, right? I made art my life, my purpose. So I want to understand it as much as I can before, my life is over. That is the great secret to happiness in my life. It's going to be a matter of just searching for the coolest, easiest ways to help other people understand what I manage and happen to stumble upon. And that way I bring value to my life. I bring value to other people's lives. And at the end of the day, I want to be remembered by, people as a person that contributed something nicely to the world. So that is going to be my goal. I have like 8 more that I have to draw. You can learn to draw your eyes with boxes as well, because the box gives you a mask, right? So if you draw angled boxes because you really just see things like that, you can draw that, and it actually makes sense too, because it's all based on the same idea of drawing things inside your basic shapes. Drawing a box maybe makes some sense to you. We see things so much differently. Like, everybody sees things differently. So being able to visualize things in different ways and explain things in different ways is also a good quality of a good teacher. Not that I like to pump my own horn, but I like to think that I'm actually a terrific teacher. Combining both elements of both the concepts that we talked about gives you all those little angles that you require to be able to take your steps to the next level for shading, right? For coloring, for figuring out little tiny other details. So just things like that just help. I believe we are pretty close. We probably have like 3 more eyes that we need to fit in here. Let's make this guy into a multi-eyed. Actually, no, I'm going to give you guys a basic exercise that is going to help you understand eyes from every single viewpoint. That is what we're going to end up with, and that is what we're going to do right now. I'm going to put it on a Post-it though. Okay. So today we talked about eyes. So our exercise is going to lead to the concept of eyes. Today's exercise is going to consist of 2 different parts. And if you guys feel like sharing this and actually showing me what you guys do, please tag me over on Instagram at RodGandhiArtist. Just like my tag name here. But our exercise today is going to consist of learning how to draw eyes from understanding a basic shape. Step number 1, we're going to draw a bunch of circles. A bunch of them. Keeping them really close. Try not to overlap them too much. Just keep them nice and consistent. If you can, change the sizes of them. Don't get too comfortable with one size. Just make sure that you are having a nice variety of circles. That's step 1. Step 2 is going to involve of drawing a circle inside of that circle. This is going to get you used to drawing inside of your shape. Don't draw it inside of that same space. Give yourself the ability to move the circle around in a controlled way. Don't just draw random shapes and lines. I want you to actually think about what you're doing when you're drawing inside of these shapes. The wider the circle, check the difference in spacing that happens between something like this or something like this. This is going to give you a very basic concept and understanding of perspective. This is going to give you the difference between drawing something flat and drawing something in 3/4 or with actual depth. It's going to give you that ability to do that by drawing these things. A different width of that circle gives you a much less pronounced 3/4 view. A more open one, it gives you a more rotated one. And as you progress down to the sides, you end up at almost a profile view. So this is just a basic way of introducing yourself to perspective. The reason that we're basing it right now, we're going to use this technique to use it to eyes. So instead of drawing a face inside of there, what you're going to do is you're going to draw your circle. You're going to use that as the front of your eye. So draw whatever side of design you want for your eye. Whatever sort of style you want for that middle part. And then once you find that middle part, you can use that middle line to make it look up. You can use that middle line to make it look down. Look to the side. And so on and so forth. The next step is to take these elements, each one of these is going to become a different eye. You're going to take 2 points and you're going to connect them in a curve that goes around your shape. 2 dots goes around my shape from one point to the other, from one point to the other. Point, point, 1 point to this point, 1 point to this point. And you can change the lines. It doesn't have to it doesn't have to be exactly how you envision an eye. You're trying to show you guys that whenever you see them in different angles, you end up with different shaped eyes looking in different directions. And all you got to do is build that mental library so that you can turn these into really cool dynamic eyes in whatever style or fashion that you want. 2 points. I want a boxy eye. You get what I mean? So that is going to be your guys' exercise for today. I want you guys to fill up a whole page full of circles. Give your circles a middle section. Draw a little thing to indicate a style for the eyeball, even if it's just a dot. And I want you guys to close them off with 2 dots connected with a hemisphere. 2 dots connected with a hemisphere. Darken the top line a little bit and give your eye whatever design you want. And that is going to be, by the end of you doing this, you're going to be so much better at just seeing eyes. And I would love to hear if you guys actually do improve things to this technique, because it's actually quite cool. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my stream. We went well over the 100 eyes already. So I think we completed the challenge. Thank you guys so much. I'll upload this to YouTube in a couple hours when it is done processing, and hoping that it doesn't get corrupted by the good old people on TikTok. So until then, I want you guys to go off and have a wonderful, wonderful start to your week. If you guys want to support, there are ways you guys can do it. You guys can purchase my books, which are in the links in my bio. And you guys can, I don't like subscriptions because I don't like doing like exclusive stuff, because Exclusivity is literally the antithesis of what I want my whole channel to be about. So yeah, don't subscribe. I want you guys to get something out of it. So if you guys want to get something out of it, there's products, merchandise, cool stuff for you guys in my bio. There's a free activity book called Color Me Silly that you guys can get if you guys just get it for free. And then there's books from Amazon and stuff like that as well. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a lovely evening. I hope you guys learned a little bit. And if you guys didn't, I am sorry. I will have other topics for you guys to learn tomorrow in different ways so that you guys don't feel left out. Come by early. Let me know what you guys want us to draw, and you guys decide the lessons. So be active. Talk to me. Engage with us. Chat in the chat. Chat amongst each others. All of you guys are creative people. This is a huge network of people that are constantly here. You might get professionals. You might get newbies. Contact each other. Talk to each other. Be friends. Make a community out of this. Every time you guys draw, maybe share with each other. Encourage each other. Be friends with each other. You know what I mean? Have a wonderful day. Love you all. And go out into the world and love a little. Live a little. Laugh a little. And draw a lot. Have a wonderful Monday.